Okay, so we're looking here at our first trigonometric function that we're going to differentiate. So let's start off by writing out the problem. F of x is equal to sine of 2x plus 5 cosine 3x squared minus 8 times the cosecant of 4x. Well, if we look at this, so if we're going to differentiate this, we're going to the derivative of f of x is f prime of x, and now we differentiate sine. So the derivative of sine, you just learned it from the table, the derivative of sine is cosine, and the argument has to stay the same. So if it was sine of 2x, it's now got to be cosine of 2x. So the first thing is differentiate the trig function and keep the argument the same. But now there is another step. You now have to multiply what you've just done by the derivative of the argument. So the derivative of 2x, which is 2. Right. A word of warning here. We're not multiplying 2x by 2. We're multiplying the whole cosine function by 2. So we're going to rewrite it a little bit more neatly in a moment. And then we're going to have plus 5 times the derivative of cosine 3x squared. Well, that's going to be plus 5. So if we're multiplying the whole function, we just keep it. So we're by a constant, we keep the constant, so it's plus 5. And now we differentiate cosine. Well, if you differentiate cosine, you get minus sine. The argument has to stay the same as it was originally, so sine of 3x squared. And now you're going to multiply that by the derivative of 3x squared. So you multiply, first of all, keep the number in front that you're multiplying by, so keep the constant in front with plus 5. Differentiate the trig function, cosine becomes negative sine, and keep the argument. And now we multiply by the derivative of the argument. So the derivative of 3x squared, which is 6x. And then we have minus 8 times the derivative of cosecant. Well, the derivative of cosecant is cosecant cotangent. So we're going to have cosecant, and you keep the argument, so cosecant of 4x by cotangent of 4x. That's the rule for cosecant. And I have forgotten a negative sign. I beg your pardon, I've forgotten a negative sign, so we're multiplying by negative cosecant. When you differentiate it, cosecant 4x, you get negative cosecant cotangent. And then, so we've carried down the 8, we've differentiated the cosecant, and now we have to differentiate the 4x, which gives you 4. And now you have to do a little bit of tidying up. So f prime of x, okay, it's cosine of 2x by 2. We usually write that by moving the constant part to the front, so it becomes 2 cosecant 2x. The next term is plus 5 by negative sine 3x squared by 6x. So let's multiply the 5 by the 6x, and of course the minus sign, so plus by minus is going to be minus. 5 by 6 is 30x times the sine of 3x squared. And then the next term is negative 8 by negative cosecant 4x cotangent 4x by 4. Well, minus by minus is plus. 8 by 4 is 32 cosecant 4x cotangent 4x. Okay? So there's a lot in that because I've put 3 different terms in there. Sine becomes cosine, cosine becomes negative sine, and cosecant becomes negative cosecant cotangent. And then the last line is just simplifying all of them, which is probably the way that you'd be expected to write it, or certainly the way that you'd expect to see it in a multiple choice question. Okay, thank you.